fact that we live in an uncertain world and the commitment from travelers to anticipate customer needs for the future. As an industry leader in providing exceptional insurance, Travelers is more than simply provide insurance. It is the job of every Travelers employee to remember that customer interaction is key to a successful claims process. As mentioned, the world we live in is filled with uncertainty. From car accidents to catastrophes, Travelers stand by their customers, keeping the claims process as efficient as possible so that customers may return back to normal lives as soon as possible. In the time of a catastrophe, any form of help is a beacon of hope for those affected. But why not make this help better? A better form of help, a more efficient form of help. The type of help and caring that not only allows claims to be processed faster, but also allows customers a second of relief in a time where they've lost everything. Through extensive analysis and in-depth research into both Travelers' catastrophe vans as well as other catastrophe units, we discovered that there were essential needs that needed to be met to enhance the customer interaction in the claims process.
So when it comes to evaluating certain industry trends, we recognize how important it is to understand your competitors to truly understand how a company stands alone with any other comparison. With the research we conducted, we pinpointed 3 main competitors when it came to the claim adjustment process within catastrophes, along with insurance companies as a whole. These 3 competitors, as I mentioned earlier as competitors, are State Farm, Allstate, and Farmers Insurance. Now let me go into a little bit more detail about our first competitor that we evaluated. So State Farm, in the marketing materials and research, claims to be the largest catastrophe response unit within the industry. For example, the biggest unit that they have to offer is a 53-foot semi-trailer that offers up to 900 square feet of office space for claim handlers on site in disaster-stricken areas. Now, however advantageous this may sound, comes off as mainly utilitarian when evaluated in a little bit more depth. The reason being is because this satisfies many needs of the business itself, but doesn't necessarily go out of its way to provide needs for the customer itself. So what Travelers usually does to set itself apart from the rest is truly try to be that customer interface and presence during that time of need and that beacon of hope, as Max mentioned earlier. So similar companies that embody this value would be, for example, Allstate. However smaller their operation, considering they only have 3 mobile claim centers throughout the nation, they're still effective considering they propose simple gestures of hope, such as whether it comes to handing out a simple bottle of water as bearing Allstate's brand as just a simple gesture to the families in need, or handing out teddy bears to children. Similarly, Farmers Insurance also provides this type of customer presence, in some situations even handing out hot meals and supplies to families in need. So taking this back and applying it to Travelers, if other insurance companies are utilizing this customer presence, what can Travelers truly do to set themselves apart from the rest when it comes to the efficiency of the claims adjustment process in catastrophe response?
Our team conducted extensive research into the issues posed by the problem we were given. In particular, we focused on solutions which would increase the sheer functionality of the CAT vans and others at disaster sites. We focused on solutions such as AT&T Remote Mobility Zone, satellite internet, and LTE Advanced Utilization, which would ultimately help bring Travelers in a step forward toward this mission. We moved to our first solution, the AT&T Remote Mobility Zone. Although the CAT vans are currently equipped with a satellite data solution, when they visit a site where cellular connectivity has failed, it is likely that employee phones will not be able to work for receiving calls, making texts, or utilizing data. AT&T offers a very unique solution to this in what is effectively a mobile cell tower on a trailer. This trailer can be attached to any CAT van or other vehicle and transported to any disaster site nationwide. The way the trailer works is through satellite data connectivity, in which it then broadcasts a cellular signal within a 2-square-mile radius to any AT&T phones. If employees are equipped with AT&T phones, these phones would then be able to connect to the cell tower and function essentially normally. This means that those calls, texts, and data all work. An additional bonus is that this cell tower can be configured to be open and allow customers to connect to it as well. We also consider some of the disadvantages in the procurement of this technology, mainly in its price. This unit costs $175,000 per unit. Another disadvantage which we considered is the fact that it will only operate with AT&T cell phones. However, given the predominance of AT&T across America, we did not see this to be a significant issue. We now move to our second solution, our second short-term solution, satellite internet for claims adjusters. Claims adjusters will spend a lot of their time outside of the CAT van and outside of its general operating area overall, moving from site to site, from house to house, performing their duties. What we looked into is a solution called the Explorer by a company called Ground Control. Effectively, what it is a never-fail Wi-Fi hotspot. It utilizes satellite data connectivity in order to broadcast a Wi-Fi hotspot within a 100-meter range. This can be connected to by any sort of devices, smart devices, laptops, and when coupled with a voice-over IP solution, can provide for calling capabilities as well. This will overall increase independence of claim adjusters in the field, as they can be less reliant on the CAT van itself and spend more time out there actually adjusting claims. We considered an advantage to this solution being in its price. These units are only $2,000 a piece, and we believe that this to be a small investment for great benefits. We move to our third short-term solution, which is LTE advanced utilization. When a CAT van travels to a disaster site, it is not always certain that cellular connectivity will fail. In a disaster site where cellular connectivity is still available, we want to ensure that employees are using the newest networking standards in order to ensure efficiency. LTE Advanced is the evolution of the original LTE standard. LTE, commonly referred to as 4G, provides theoretical networking speeds of 100 megabits per second. LTE Advanced, which began deployment in the United States in 2015 and is continuing through 2016, can provide networking speeds of 450 megabits per second. This is over 4 times faster than current LTE. The way this works is through a networking method known as carrier aggregation. When a phone typically communicates with a cell tower, it is usually one frequency per band to do that communication. Through LTE Advanced, it utilizes carrier aggregation to now use a set of 3 bands to do the same communication. This drastically increases networking speeds and can overall improve efficiency tenfold. Overall, LTE Advanced, we see this to be a very simple solution to implement. All that involves is making sure that employees are utilizing the newest cellular devices when in the field. We peg this to be probably about $650 per employee. So when looking at a CAT van of about 10, we see this to be about a $6,500 cost. This can vary depending on contractual obligations and the like. Now, considering our short-term solutions, we now move to our long-term solution.
So when proposing our long-term solution, I would like to go into detail of what we like to call aerial claims adjustment. Recently, the FAA, or the Federal Aviation Administration, proposed new rules and regulations, formerly known as Part 107, that opened up opportunities within this industry to take advantage of advanced technologies such as unmanned aircraft systems. Travelers already anticipating these changes have been conducting research and experiments within their claims university that resides in Windsor, Connecticut. Other companies and competitors, such as the ones I mentioned earlier, also follow this trend. Considering they viewed these benefits of the drones, being able to increase the efficiency of the claims adjustment process, while at the same time decreasing liabilities internally within claims adjustment by keeping personnel off of damage-stricken rooftops and keeping those personnel safe and secure. This was recently implicated within the recent happenings of Hurricane Matthew, where travelers themselves, along with other competitors, took this practice and research into the field and displayed what we've learned through the entire process. So we asked ourselves, while we were viewing the problem that we were delegated in this case competition, what exactly could travelers do to set themselves apart from the rest, considering that most insurance companies are evaluating how to implement such type of drone systems. So through our research, we came across a programming platform through the company called Panton Incorporated. This programming platform allows for the usual 2D images that are captured through drone systems to be aggregated into a 3D model and representation of any property being assessed to help speed up the process when it comes to damaged area measurements, as well as detecting, estimating damage costs. The reason why this is so beneficial is because not only does it set the precedence for data analytics, but it also allows for travelers to set up the precedence of its own drone operation. Now, we recognize this as a long-term solution, considering that it's already being implemented as a separate drone operation, considering travelers themselves have issued 60 pilot licenses within the company. But we see this being able to be coupled with catastrophe response teams in order to improve the efficiency of the claim adjustment process, which is huge when it comes to managing customer relationships. So that way you can allot more time for claim adjustment processes when the customers need them most. So now we will go into a little bit more detail of the financials that back up our solutions with Joel.
As part of our research into the case, we developed a model that we believe best reflects the costs associated with implementing our ideas and strategies and suggestions for travelers. Some of the assumptions that we took into mind as we made these calculations included a 10-person CAT van team that comprises of 5 surveyors and 5 adjusters. Also, all calculations that were computed were based off of one single CAT van. Bearing these in mind, the first major cost that travelers would incur should they choose to pursue our ideas is the AT&T Mobility Zone that runs at about $175,000 per trailer. The satellite internet solution that we propose for adjusters, in order to ensure non-stop connectivity and efficiency, is priced at a little over $2,000 per device. This gives us a total of $10,875 per response team. Moving on to the LTE Advanced technology that we recommended for employees to use in order to allow them to harness the latest forms of communication, we estimated this to be at about $650 per head based on relevant market data and product pricing. This totaled up to be a total of $6,500 per CAT van team. This gave a total short-term solution cost a total of $192,375. Moving on to a long-term solution of aerial claims adjustment and analytics based on relevant market data, online product information, and product pricing. This was estimated to be at about $4,200 per drone per year, assuming five drones on each CAT van in order to ensure increased efficiency and faster claims processing speeds. This totaled to be a total of $21,000. This put a total solutions cost at about $213,375. Now, recognizing that Travelers has 5 such CAT vans located strategically across the U.S. in order to respond effectively to areas of disaster, this put a total investment cost at a little over $1 million. Our confidence in proposing these ideas lies not only in the fact that Travelers prides itself as an organization that is proactive in reacting to needs and requirements of their customers, but also in the fact that they enjoy good financial health and success, as seen reflected in their year-to-date net income of $2.071 billion after tax, and their year-to-date operating income of $2.048 billion after tax. These successes were also revealed in their most recent quarterly filings, where Travelers boasted a net income of $716 million after tax, and an operating income of $701 million after tax, despite enduring small losses in weather-related non-catastrophe losses, lower prior year reserve development, and higher than expected losses associated with higher auto bodily injury claims. Despite these small shortfalls, we believe that Travelers is able, and in fact well capable, to handle the investments that we propose, not simply for a financial gain. In implementing our ideas and solutions, we believe that Travelers will be able to emphasize and further highlight their commitment to customers and their resolve in restoring back to normality those that put their trust in them as soon as possible. In doing so, we believe that Travelers will be able to gain and harness from added benefit, increased trust, and above all, greater brand recognition in all these places that they visit. And so, in aggregating our short-term solutions of the AT&T Mobility Zone, satellite internet for these adjusters, and LTE Advanced technology, coupled with our long-term solution of aerial claims coverage and assessment, use of long-term analytics data, we were able to effectively decide that this would help Travelers further their mission statement in being an insurance leader, ready to respond to the needs of their customers. By implementing our ideas, we believe that Travelers will be able to take their entire response unit, and in particular their CAT vans, to newer heights of success, and new levels of profitability. Once again, on behalf of the boys here, and on behalf of UConn School of Business, we'd like to thank you for having us today, and we hope you have a great day ahead.
Now, if you guys have any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys have about the presentation.
Yeah, great presentation and great team effort. I see all the disciplines of, like marketing and IT and finance kind of all together. And I thought it was interesting that you guys try to establish an emotional connection there with that and marketing and speaking of hope to praise and so on. And then also did some market research there to, kind of take your solution and kind of compare it to what, Allstate and so on are doing. Tell us a little bit more about the marketing angle and about how you guys conducted that research and developed that theme.
Yeah, so I can go a little bit more detail into that. One of the huge things off the bat, and I don't know if you want to go back to the industry trend slide just real quick. Like conducting research off the bat, I know all of us kind of noticed how I mentioned that State Farms comes off of mostly utilitarian, because a lot of the response units out there kind of just try to be focused on processing claims and not really trying to be that presence. Allstate and Farmers do accomplish this because they hold that value, but I know, travelers, including the mission statement, trying to be there for those ever-changing needs of the customer. That being there to be that guiding hand, and as Maxwell mentioned, that beacon of hope, is a huge thing. So I mean, not only do you have to increase the efficiency of the process itself to a lot to be able to impact more customers in a type of operation like this, but I mean, you also need to be able to be there for them, considering this is a time of turmoil for many families that are impacted. I don't know if anyone else.
Just to further that, in my analysis, and as I was looking at benefits and I was trying to do a cost analysis benefit, I realized that it's more important for us to look at just the return on investment. Yes, it is important because given the amount of money that we were asking to be spent into these ideas and solutions, but I think using these ideas and solutions simply to streamline a claims process is not going to satisfy the need at hand. It is also to develop the brand of travelers, to ensure customers, existing customers, that we are actually there as soon as possible at any given point in time when you need it. And this would also be, and if you see our solution, this would also be a way for us to engage those that aren't directly affiliated with travelers into a newer level of engagement, where we're able to show them that, hey, Travelers is not just there for our customers, but we are responsible for the community and the population at large in order to ensure that each one of you at that point in time is able to get to help as soon as possible.
Thank you for that question.
So I definitely have to echo, the comments regarding the theme. I really liked how you guys kicked that off and really made an emotional connection there early on. I do have a question regarding the AT&T, mobility jet. So it sounds like that's a one-time cost.
Yes.
What about the consideration of, is there any maintenance to consider here? And then potentially, is this only for AT&T or can other carriers connect to this?
Yes, so this is actually a unique AT&T solution. It works specifically with AT&T phones. In terms of maintenance on this equipment itself, it's a diesel run machine, so there might be associated costs with maintaining a diesel engine, that sort of thing. In terms of also monthly plan for it, we have the monthly operating cost for this, for the unlimited, the top of the line, top data speeds and all that, is about $7,000 a month. So that's the operating cost with that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, thank you. I'm very impressed by the fact that you put both short-term and long-term solutions together. And what I'm kind of curious is about the approach that you used to come up with the specific numbers for the benefits, not only tangible benefits, but also the intangible benefits that you just mentioned, the customer loyalty and enhanced markets. So what was the approach that you used to come up with numbers?
Well, to begin with, we started by accumulating data and specific numbers related to tangible benefits. This was done by using commonly available market data, including brochures, website information. Some of us even got in touch with the specific companies. Beyond that, as far as brand recognition and entrance into different markets is concerned, I essentially sat down with a super senior of mine who is a marketing major, and he helped me better understand the added benefits that are associated with each one of these projects that we have. Apart from that, we also conducted a couple of calculations on our own to see where there are added benefits, and then we try to assume what they would be based on historical data that Travelers has on their websites. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you again for the presentation. Really enjoyed the quality of it and the connection. Again, I thought that we echo that the intangibles that you described, I think, is something that you picked up on well and what we think about from a CAP response perspective. A question on the LTE Advanced.
Yes.
And this is a device-specific connection. So this is new. So this is new hardware, or it's only new contracts, or how does it work with each device? So thinking beyond even just the CATBAN folks, so thinking, you know, a larger implementation of, you know, multiple hundreds of people into an event response. Is it new devices? Is it just new service plans, et cetera? How does it work?
So LTE Advanced, I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with the term 4G? You probably hear it thrown around a lot, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a huge marketing term. There's a lot of confusion as to what it exactly entails. So the original LTE was came to the United States in late 2011, and that's what most carriers, when they market 4G, that's what they're marketing, is this original LTE, and that provides theoretical networking speeds of 100 megabits per second. In actuality, that can vary depending on carrier load, how many people are using it at once. It's a shared resource, and when you have more people pulled onto it, it kind of pulls it down. So the people that developed the LTE standard, Qualcomm, they moved forward to develop the LTE Advanced standard, which is using newest networking technologies to make those devices more efficient. So when you have multiple devices grabbing onto one cell tower, those devices are all, they're not impacting each other as much. So there's more opportunity for faster networking speeds and just more productivity in general. The way to utilize it, so all 4 carriers in the United States offer some degree of LTE Advanced support through their networks. The way it would be utilized by travelers would be through the purchasing of new devices. Most modern devices offer LTE Advanced support. I did some research into it mostly, so if you go look at like iPhone 6s and offer LTE Advanced support, Samsung Galaxy S7 offers LTE Advanced support. So it's really a matter of moving employees. I'm not sure if there are employees that are currently on older technologies, iPhone 5, iPhone 5s, iPhone 6 that don't have LTE Advanced support. So it would be moving those employees to this newer technology would increase networking speed, and it also increased device speed as well because you're getting the upgraded processing improvements, storage improvements. Thank you for that question. Did that answer what you're looking for?
Just a little bit on what he said. So prior, what was happening is LTE was using a single band a frequency to communicate with. With LTE Advanced, that has jumped to about 3 bands for communication. So now you have added 2 more ways to communicate. That's how the speed improvement happens. And the latest phones are compatible with this. They are able to harness this technology that has been implemented by Qualcomm and put it into use. So the newer phones are able to actually use 3 bands of communication in contrast to the phones that are like a couple of generations before them that were using a single band to communicate. That's how you get the higher network speeds and the higher rates of communication. That answered your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So question with the satellite backpack satellite.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the implementation? What does it feel like for a user? Is there a length of time? Is it battery operated? Do they need to hook it to a car or something like that? And
Yes, absolutely.
And the throughput.
Yes, so this solution, it's very similar to a MiFi hotspot. So if you're familiar with cellular hotspots, you can buy from AT&T, Verizon. It works essentially like that. So it'll create a Wi-Fi hotspot The only difference is that this Wi-Fi hotspot is based off of satellite connection rather than cellular connection. So that if the cellular network fails, this will still work. It is very portable. It fits within a laptop bag, so it's about roughly probably the size of your laptop. And it has battery capabilities, and it also comes with a, there's an option to buy a kit with a car converter, so you can run it based off of the car battery if you need to, if it runs out. And ultimately, it works essentially like a Wi-Fi hotspot, which you've probably used in the past. To answer your question, Blaine?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk a little about network speed and how games adjusters will be able to use it?
I'm not sure, do you want to hear about that?
Yeah, just curious what the throughput is and
Yes.
the user experience.
So, as it is based off satellite connection, it won't be as fast as a cellular connection. It's roughly, this, the theoretical networking speeds for this is about 492 kilobits per second. So, it should be sufficient for most online tasks that claims adjusters would be performing. They're not saying they're watching Netflix, so it should absolutely fulfill those requirements. And overall user experience should be something as simple as pulling out your phone, connecting to it as a Wi-Fi network, and then utilizing it from there.
And the same would apply for laptops,
Yeah.
tablets, and anything else that people use on the field. Does anybody else have any more questions for us? I'm throwing it open to the audience in the back as well.
Any more feedback? Don't be afraid to be too critical.
Yeah.
We're open to anything.
Yeah. We've done this presentation a couple times, but each time is different. So it's a learning curve at each point.
I'll say one comment. As I was looking at the numbers, I'm thinking, wow, that sounds expensive. But what I really liked was the end slide of recapping our financial success thus far for the company as a whole and how minimal that cost could have appeared compared to what we did earn as a company. And do we care to have that cost improve, you know, what we could do in the future and maybe these numbers increase too. So I really enjoyed that you put in this slide
Yeah.
to kind of like make me step back and think about big T
Yes.
versus just what you presented before that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm a numbers guy, so numbers don't really affect me. But I understand that when you put when you throw in a lot of numbers like that, it does get intimidating. Which is why we decided to give you I'm all about perspective, you know? It's important to be able to look at something through a different lens in order to completely understand what's going on at that point, which is why we like to compare and contrast something that's been inculcated in us through education and working with our advisor, John Moore, who's sitting there at the back. He's always said, you know, keep things in perspective, which is why I wanted to show you that the benefits of this and our solutions are quite massive. And in fact, I would say massive is an understatement of the actual width and breadth and of the benefits that these solutions present. But looking at it in relation to where Travelers is at right now, despite some of the small losses that they have had to incur over the last quarter or last 2 quarters, these are still marginal, you know? It's almost nothing at that point. 700 million versus a little over $1 million for a long-term gain. I'd say, you know, making customers a little more happy is always worth it.
Just going off of that, like when we were conducting research into the unmanned aircraft systems, if you want to switch back to that slide, keep going. That one right there. So when we were analyzing this whole situation, considering it is a long-term solution, it is sometimes hard to find tangible numbers surrounding it. But as Joel said, it's all about understanding perspective sometimes. And when we found out that Travelers themselves were already implementing these types of approaches and had already gone ahead and completed one of the most expensive parts of this operation, which was acquiring pilot licenses, which they already implemented 60 of within the company. So I think just being able to understand that perspective allows us to be able to, you know, firmly stand behind our beliefs that the marginal benefits of this solution and all the solutions, including the short-term ones, greatly outweigh the marginal costs. So yeah, just going off of that, I mean, perspective is everything and understanding those marginals.
And as you all know, over time, technology does get cheaper as it gets more predominant in the industry. As people start using it more, they're able to benefit from economies of scale, improved manufacturing processes, better techniques, of production. And so we're looking at things from the future and saying, wow, that could potentially be extremely expensive. I'm talking at $21,000 per year per drone, $4,200 per year per drone, $21,000 per cat van. Yes, it is a lot of money, but over time, as this is built into the insurance industry, into the real estate industry, this is something that can be harnessed by a whole range of people. EMS to evaluate, we've talked about it as far as real estate and even insurance. The more it starts getting used, the cheaper it's going to become. It's definitely heading to become the next big thing, which is a little more affordable than what it's projected to be at. But I think the important thing at that point is to be the first ones there using it. That's what gives you the cutting edge, you know?
And just one more note to add on to that. I mean, Travelers was the first in the industry to pose something like the cat van all the way back in 1999. So I mean, keeping that aspect as an insurance company leader and innovator, this is definitely the next step when it comes to innovating and maintaining that perspective as a leader in the industry. So.
Thank you.
Sorry, we just had one question at the back. Yes?
Thanks so much for your presentation today.
Thanks for
It's
having
a great examination of the status quo and a great look at the analysis of our future potential. So my question overall is, while you were examining our status quo, besides what you covered, was there anything else that came out as surprising when you were looking at Travelers as is today?
I'll take that question. So I grew up in a home where my dad started from a small farm in India and progressed his way into owning an insurance brokerage firm in the Middle East, in particular in Dubai and in Bahrain. And I've seen him, like, sit in the toilet, read a book, pass the exams. And the difference of insurance in the Middle East versus insurance in the US is the touch that you have with the customer. That's something that, and as somebody that has traveled across the world and been through, like, I've been to almost 40 different countries, this is something that you don't see a lot. I've lost my baggage in more than 8 different airports. Every time I pick up the phone, it's a grumpy person there. When I'm sitting and talking to travelers, I interacted with interns that had previously worked here. I interacted with people that hold travelers' policies. And I was talking to them, I said, so tell me what the claims process is like. Tell me what it's like when you're sitting in a devastated zone and you're talking on the phone. What are you hearing? And they were talking about how much of the personal touch is there, how much more they are willing to go beyond their call of duty to ensure that this, because it's a messy process, let's face the facts. It takes about 3 or 4 months for everything to be done and dusted. And in that process, there's somebody that's literally holding your hand. That's your weakest point. And having somebody almost like a big brother there holding your hand, I think that's something unique, in particular to the way that Travelers does it. And that's something that I have personally, in the 18, 19 years of my life, although it's pretty short, I haven't seen it in many other places. I've traveled across the world, and it's something that really hit me, where Travelers was going past the status quo. Technically, insurance places, all they do is, I don't mean to belittle anything or make anybody sound bad. They take your money, and then when you have a problem, they put you through a whole loops, and they put you through a couple more loops, and then in the end, you get part of what you get, part of what you deserve to get. I don't know if you've seen the ad where it says, you pay for a whole car. When your insurance pays you out, they pay for 3/4 of a car. What do you expect to do driving 3/4 of a car? Travelers doesn't do that. Travelers has a way of holding your hand and ensuring that, hey, if you have a need, we're meeting it. We're there before you are. So we know the path that you're about to walk down. We're there to help you get there and restore back to normality as soon as possible. I think that was the most striking thing that I saw in our research. When we were sitting at this couple of nights looking at different things, and I was thinking back and forth, and I was like, wow, this is something that this company really does differently, that I think the insurance industry as a whole, not just in the US, but speaking at a more global scale, I know Travelers is in Canada and Brazil. They need to learn from leaders like y'all and Travelers. So I hope that answered the question. Thank you for that. Thank you. before we close the floor, any more questions, feedback, comments, ideas? Seeing as there are none, we'd just like to thank you once again on behalf of UConn School of Business, Maxwell, Chris, TJ, Professor Jonathan Moore, myself, Joel Thomas, for having us here. I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.